It's the 2025 debut of Step Up to the Mic, a segment where we spend a little time with the current broadcasters around the league. Rick Rizzs is the radio play-by-play voice of the Seattle Mariners. This is his 40th season with the club, 51st season in the game. M's lost last night, but overall it's been a great start for the club, Rick. Thank you very much for the time. What has surprised you most about the Mariners' start to 2025?
Yeah, we got a beautiful day here in Chicago, a little bit on the rainy side, but we've got baseball, final game of the series. I tell you what, these guys just don't quit. They come back. They're the cardiac kids. They've had so many injuries in the early part of the year. They lost Victor Robles early in the season in San Francisco, crashing in that netting. They lost Ryan Bliss. They lost Luke Raley. And three of the best pitchers in the game of baseball are on the IL right now, and George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, and Bryce Miller. But they just find a way to keep going. Dan Wilson has done a great job as the manager, this coaching staff. And, I was just hoping that they could tread water, especially with those big three out of the starting rotation. But they've turned on the motor, and they're flying through the American League West right now. They had a string where they had 9 consecutive series victories. So right now they're on top of the American League West, but they just don't give up. They find a way. Young guys have stepped up, like Logan Evans going this afternoon, making his 5th major league start, has been outstanding. Emerson Hancock filling in with Logan Gilbert on the IL. And, Ben Williamson comes up to the minor leagues after playing just 10 games there. Great defensive third baseman and also hitting as well. J.P. Crawford. Cal Raleigh's having an all-star year. Polanco was one of the hottest hitters in baseball. They just keep finding ways to win.
Rick, I mentioned you've been in this game for a long time as a broadcaster, 40th season with the Mariners. How long in your career did it take before you felt comfortable and you felt you had developed a style that could play in this industry?
40 years. I was so lucky, Robert. I spent 8 years in the minor leagues. And by the way, you had a clip of Pat Corrales.
Yes.
You guys, by the way, should have won the Emmy.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know what Pat is doing and what you guys do, on the set there. You guys are amazing. I love watching you guys every day. Pat Corrales was my manager 50 years ago in 1975 in Alexandria, Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
We were a Double-A farm club for the San Diego Padres. But anyway, after 8 years in the minor leagues, riding the buses like all the players and everybody else, like a lot of us do, I finally got to the big leagues, and I was so lucky. I was working alongside one of the greatest announcers in the history of the game of baseball, Dave Niehaus. Got me here as a young broadcaster in 1983. And first game in the Kingdome, it was the Mariners against the Yankees, Gaylord Perry against Ron Guidry, and I knew, hey, we're not in Kansas anymore. This was the thrill of a lifetime. I grew up here on the south side of Chicago.
Oh, nice.
And Jack Brickhouse was my hero. Louis Aparicio, Nellie Fox were my heroes, back in the late 50s and the early 60s. But it's like anything else, it takes a little while to be comfortable, but thank goodness for Dave Niehaus and Kevin Kremen, who I worked with, and all the great analysts along the way, and the guys I work with now started to make me feel comfortable.
Rick, last week you sat down for an amazing piece in the Seattle Times with writer Mike Gastineau.
Yeah.
The article detailed your career, but also your son Nick, who you lost in 2023 when he was 43. You speak about his long battle with addiction. Why did you decide now was the time to tell your son's story?
Mike was a great talk show host for many, many years and turned out to be an outstanding writer. And he broached the idea to me during the off season prior to going to spring training. And he said, would you be willing to talk about the passing of your son? He was a drug addict for 22 years, but then he got through it with the grace of God. He drove into church one day, accepted Jesus as his Lord and Savior. And he was able to get through it. And for 9 years, he was drug-free. He was the best son in the world. And he had one bad night a year and a half ago where he did some cocaine. He had a heart attack, and he passed away. And Mike said, I want to write a story about your son. Would you mind talking about it? I said, if it can help somebody, parents going through the situation that I went through for 22 years, I don't think I got a decent night's sleep for 22 years. I'll be willing to do it. So I did. And the response has been unbelievable because you never stop loving your kids no matter what they're going through, no matter what they do and what they say. It's not them, it's the drugs. But the good Lord saved his life, and I had him for 9 years. He passed away a year and a half ago, but I know where he's at, and I'll be able to see him someday. So that gets me through today, tomorrow, and the rest of my days, here with the Mariners. So I was happy to talk about it. So if it can help somebody, parents going through what I went through and what so many of us have gone through, I hope it reaches a lot of people.
Well, Rick, I had asked you during the commercial break if you'd be willing to talk about it, and we appreciate you doing that.
You're welcome,
your
buddy.
courage speaks volumes, and our hearts are with you and your family moving forward. So thank you very much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. Enjoy the game today. Enjoy the beautiful weather there in the south side of Chicago, and hopefully we can catch up with you real soon.